allow me to give you a different Christmas perspective, one that you might not have considered before. In Luke chapter 2, verse 16, it says, "And they came with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the babe lying in a manger. Now when they had seen him, they made widely known the saying which was told them concerning this child." Okay, so let's pull on that thread as far as who this child is. We know that this child is Jesus, right? And when we picture this scene, we imagine like the shepherds out there and the angels, the host of angels just showing up. But allow me to give you a different view on this. In Revelation chapter 12, what you see is basically a flyby of the history of Israel, which is really kind of cool. You have three players in Revelation chapter 12. You have the woman, the child, and the dragon. The woman is representative of Israel, the child is representing Jesus, and the dragon is representing Lucifer. So in Revelation chapter 12, it says now, verse 1, it says, "Now a great sign appeared in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a garland of 12 stars. Then being with child, Jesus, she cried out in labor and in pain to give birth. And another sign in heaven, behold, a great fiery red dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 diadems on his heads. His tail drew a third of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman who was ready to give birth, to devour her child as soon as it was born." Now this is really interesting because what you see here is you see what was going up in the heavens. So Lucifer is aware that Jesus is about to be born. And so as you and I tend to focus on more of like how wonderful it actually is, I would like to kind of get you to see how different it is from the other side of the coin. Because on the other side of the coin, there was a massive, Lucifer literally pulled his entire military, if you will, and he threw them to the earth in attempts to destroy Jesus right when he was born. And that's what Revelation chapter 12, verse 1 through 4 is painting you a picture of seeing that. And I think that's very interesting because it's all about the child. It's never been about anything else. And so when you start pulling on this thread as far as this child is the same child that was prophesied about in Isaiah chapter 7. In Isaiah 7 verse 13, he said, "Hear now, O house of David, is it a small thing for you weary men, but will you weary my God also? Therefore the Lord himself will give you a sign. Behold, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel." This son is the same child that we were just reading about in Luke chapter 2, and it's the same child that we read about in Revelation chapter 12. It's also the same child that was prophesied about in Micah chapter 5 verse 2. It says, "But you, Bethlehem Ephrathah, though you are little among the thousands of Judah, yet out of you shall come forth to me the one to be ruler in Israel, whose going forth are from old and from everlasting." Wow, that is awesome. But also, as you keep on pulling on this thread of this child, or who this person is that we're reading about here, we understand that this is a picture of Jesus. This child is the same one that Moses saw all the way back in Exodus chapter 3 verse 2, and it says, "And the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire from the midst of a bush. So he looked, and behold, the bush was burning with fire, but the bush was not consumed." And it goes on, and the angel of the Lord tells Moses to take off his sandals because where he was standing was holy ground. That is Jesus. That's Jesus showing up in the Old Testament. And then when you continue reading on, you'll find in Joshua chapter 5, you will see that Joshua sees the same angel. It's the angel, but it's the commander of the army of the Lord, because it says in verse 14, Joshua 5:14, it says, "So he said, no, but as commander of the army of the Lord, I have now come. And Joshua fell on his face to the earth and worshiped and said to him, what does my Lord say to his servant?" This child that we just chased down in this very short video here is one that Micah represents as, in Micah 5:2, it says, "Whose goings forth are from of old, from everlasting." So what I want you to understand is that you and I are, it's just remarkable. Like this Christmas story, you know, like everybody loves talking about Christmas things and whatnot. And it's really remarkable to just remember that he's been here all along. Before you were born, before the earth was created, before anything, he always was. His goings forth are from of old, from everlasting. What's so remarkable about this time, though, is that Jesus, even though he's been here all along, what's beautiful about the entire thing is that he chose. He chose to dive in after you and I because we were lost. We were perishing. We were under the death penalty. For the wages of sin is death. And it says, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. And so he sees that. He sees us in creation and he's like, they're all perishing. He's like, I got to do something. And so he dives in after us. And as he dives in after us, I just want you to remember the picture that is painted in Revelation chapter 12, because when he dove in after us, Lucifer literally pulled all of his resources and cast them to the earth in attempts to devour him. And if you read the Gospels, what you'll find is that all throughout the Gospels, you see time and time again of how people just tried to end Jesus before his time. And so you see that right off the bat, because in Matthew chapter 2, you see the wise men showing up. They go up to King Herod and they're like, hey, where is he who was born King of the Jews? And so right after the wise men left, Herod was like, he gave the order to end all of the children, the 2-year-olds, under 2-year Jewish children under 2 years old. And that was, even though that was Herod doing it, I want you to understand it was a satanic move orchestrated by Satan. And then as Jesus grows up, as he continues on in his ministry, what you find is that there were multiple times where people tried to end him. They tried to stone him multiple times for blasphemy. And then after that, they led him up on a high mountain and they tried to cast him off, but then he just casually slides on right through them. And it's so remarkable because he was on a divine schedule. But what I just want you to understand during this Christmas time is to remember that it is and always will be about Jesus. And so that is what I want you to encourage you to remember. What an amazing time to be alive. And so hopefully you can use this and try to use this and try to witness to somebody in some kind of capacity, because that's what we're here to do. If you're a born again believer, which I hope you are, your mission is never changing. It doesn't matter your circumstances. Your mission is always going to be the same, and that is to tell people about Jesus. Tell them. You gotta do it. We gotta do it. All right, guys. Thanks.